Katie from Wolf Network. Thank you for joining me for another episode of 3 Tip Tuesday. Today we are talking all about copywriting, and we have Laura from Worditude, who is a digital copywriter. Hi Laura, welcome.
Hi Katie, thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Laura is the internet wordsmith. I like that so much, Laura. That's so cool. You have such a way with words.
Thank you. That's a good job too, really.
It is. So, Laura, you help entrepreneurs connect with their audience through the words on their website. Can you tell me why that's so important?
So, basically, your website needs to be able to connect with your potential customers with the same power as an in-person conversation. So when you first start out in business, often the people that you work with or who buy from you are people that you have conversations with in real life, either over a video chat or actually meeting them in person. And then as you grow your business, that's not really realistic to keep trying to talk to individuals and persuade them to buy from you. So your website is a way of kind of leveraging your time and letting more people see who you are and what you do. So instead of having to woo them one person at a time in person, you direct them to your website, and your website does all of that conversational work for you. And you just write it once, publish it, and then it does most of the sales process for you. There's work that you're going to need to do to get people through the door to see the website in the first place, and there's probably some work that you'll need to do to make the sale at the end, depending on what level of service you're providing or how much you're charging. But your website is just a way of being you in lots of different places all at once.
So a lot of people do struggle with writing with like how they sound or perhaps how they talk. Have you got 3 tips for us on how we can achieve that, Laura?
I can. The first one would be to have a look at anything that you've ever written before, whether that's for your business or even if it's just fun email exchanges with a friend, or often social media posts work really well for this. So there'll be times when you've written something and you've got a great response back, or you felt like you were really proud of how well you put that together. And keep it, because we kind of just fire it off and think, oh, that was good, and then never look at it again.
Yeah.
You can just take a screenshot of it or even print it out and keep it in a real folder. And you're going to use this for when it's time to write something new for your business. Look at the folder, look at those snippets that you've written in the past to help get yourself in the mood and think like, this is the kind of tone of voice that I want to aim for. I know that I'm capable of this, and can get you in the mindset for writing really well. If you don't have so many examples that you've written yourself, you can just look around on the internet and find pieces of writing that you really enjoy that other people have written. And that doesn't mean don't just rip them off and copy what they've written or sound exactly the same as them, but you can get a feel for what is it about that website or blog post or newspaper article, what is it about that that's really interested you and that you think your audience will connect with, so that you can start to build a picture of how your writing should sound on your website. So that was tip number 1. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, because some magazine articles, like you can't stop reading and you can't put them down, whereas others are really clunky and you've just got no interest whatsoever. So it's taking those articles and keeping them in working out what you liked about it.
Definitely, because everything you read has got the potential to make you a better writer. If you go one step further than just reading it, just ask yourself why. So what is it about this that I really enjoyed, or why am I finding this so difficult? What's clunky about it? And it becomes a habit. So you pick something up and say you're reading it and thinking, oh, this is clunky, I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
Next step, why? And you'll probably notice that the sentences are far too long and convoluted, or the language is unnecessarily fussy. And it becomes a habit that every time you read something, you're not just reading it for the pure enjoyment of it, you're actually getting something out of it and learning about what's made that a good or bad piece of writing, and that will in turn help you to become a better writer.
Gosh, that's so interesting. It's something I haven't even thought about myself. When I'm reading something that I'm not enjoying, I kind of just stop. I don't even think about it anymore. But yeah, it's definitely worth having to think about why you're not enjoying it, as well as the things that you do enjoy.
You don't have to finish reading it completely. Like
Oh,
you've got to
good.
like don't sink all of your time into something that you're not enjoying, but just for like pause for a minute and think this is not, I don't like this, and then
Yeah,
go that one step further and think what is it about it that's being difficult for me.
fab. Perfect, thank you. So what's tip number 2,
Okay,
Laura?
tip number 2 is never ever try to write and edit at the same time. So the perfectionist in us will write a sentence, and then if we spot a typo or think, oh, I don't know, that's not quite the right word, or I don't really know how to word this, and then we just become paralyzed as we edit and perfect that one single sentence, and then there's no flow because our brains literally can't be creative and critical at the same time. So when you write something, just write it. And if you can't find the right word, if I can't find the right word, I literally write out in the sentence, I need a better word for hot here, and then just carry on writing. Because
Oh,
I'm not
that's
going to,
good.
yeah, I'm not going to stop and look up what is a nice word to use there. If I know it's not the right word, I'll write the wrong word and then in brackets what it is I'm really searching for, and then come back and perfect that in the editing process.
Okay,
Because
that's really interesting.
you need to get momentum. So you only get that creativity by getting momentum, and just start writing and keep, like, don't stop, keep going. Even when you see mistakes, just keep going, because that's how you edit afterwards and iron it out.
Yeah, because so many of us will start writing and then be like, oh, I need to think of a word that is this, or and like if people are around us will be like, oh, can you think of another word that is this? And then like 10 minutes later you're still
Yeah.
stuck on that one word.
And you've lost it. Like, you've lost your
Yeah,
train of thought, you've lost the enthusiasm that you had for writing the piece. And I think a big part of that stems back from, well, no, in my school we had to, it's like all of our written work was done in a best book, and you had to, and it was written neatly, and like you wouldn't have just roughly written down what you wanted and then gone back and changed it over and over
yeah,
again, and
no,
it becomes
never
like a
done that.
force of habit that
Yeah,
you've got to get it right first time. But you really don't. Just get it down first time and then get it right later.
that's so good to know, so refreshing as well.
Yeah.
Fabulous, thanks.
Just be a bit more slapdash. That's what you need. Like, less perfectionism, a bit more slapdash, get it done.
You have permission to be messy when
Definitely.
you're writing,
Yeah.
and then just go back and edit it and make it
Yeah.
all look nice.
I put like mine, if anyone saw my first drafts, it would just be horrendous. Like, sometimes I'm writing a sales page and it would just say, I can't think of what I want to put, so I just put some really important benefits will go here, and then I just carry on writing, because
Okay.
if I stop to be analytical and think about
Yeah.
it, I'm going to lose the flow of the page, and I can always come back and fill that in later, as long as you always remember to come back and fill it in later, because it's
Yeah.
really embarrassing if you forget.
Yeah, it was like that. I think it was I don't know if it was a Facebook or a Twitter post that McDonald's put out, and it was for their Black Friday giveaway. And basically, they had a picture and they had some points, and it was like literally at the top it would put insert offer or text here. And whoever obviously was in charge of social media literally just posted it. So yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
No,
But
that's
if they
cool.
do it, you see,
Yeah,
anyone can do it.
we're all human at the end
We're
of
all
the day.
human, yeah.
Perfect. So Laura, what's tip number 3?
And the last tip, which is a bit of an unusual one to come from someone who deals with words, is when you're writing your website content or blog posts or whatever kind of content you're putting out for your audience, use more than words, because they need to get to know you, and written text can only take you so far. So that's photographs, professional headshots, but also just real life photographs, behind the scenes images, and video footage is really powerful, and just talking to the camera, especially if you can weave in one video where you're talking to the camera, it will help the reader hear your voice when they read the rest of your text on your website. And then it makes it much easier to forgive, like if there are little mistakes in there or quirks in the way that you use language, especially if English is your second language. This is really important, because they can hear your voice, then it's much more forgivable when they read it in the text.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And especially like if you've got a really strong accent, you tend to kind of like write in your accent as well. And I think if people realize you have that accent as well, they kind of like they kind of like have your voice in their head as well, don't they?
Yeah, it just makes it like, it makes it endearing and enjoyable rather than like just looking at the text going, well, they've made a mistake there, that's unprofessional. You can actually just hear the voice when you're reading it.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Laura, for those 3 tips. So, Laura, if people want to find out more about you and Worditude, where can they find you on the internet?
Just go to my website, which is worditude.co.uk, and you'll be able to click around and read my about page and find out a bit more about me. And there's plenty of resources on there, free resources and blog posts that can help people write the content for their websites or get started with their blog for their business.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of 3 Tip Tuesday. Let us know on the blog below which is the page you find most difficult to write on your website. And Laura is going to come and answer some of your questions as well, aren't you, Laura?
Yeah, happy to answer questions.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you so much and see you next time.